Same-sex marriage. It's a big deal in Australia right now, or at least the media is making it out to be. But like a lot of Australians, I can't really get too animated about it. The push for same-sex marriage for some activists seems to be more about virtue signalling than any sort of grassroots civil rights campaign. It gives them the moral high ground from which they can denigrate anyone opposed to same-sex marriage as bigots. But forgive me for being a little bit confused, because I thought gay liberation, at least at its inception back in the late 60s, early 70s, was all about tearing down and opposing those oppressive social institutions like marriage. Milo Yiannopoulos has made the point that to be gay used to be seen as something transgressive, anti-establishment. But with the mainstream acceptance of the gay movement, as typified by the push for gay marriage, it has become somewhat dull and domesticated. That said, I'm not opposed to same-sex marriage. I'm not persuaded by arguments of religious freedom. For example, that a Christian baker would be forced to cater to a gay wedding. In Australia, it's already illegal for a business to discriminate on the basis of race, gender or sexuality, and gay people have been having weddings for years already. The only difference is that currently gay weddings are not recognised by the state as marriages. So it would seem to be a moot point. I expect most businesses involved in catering will be eager to cash in on the gay marriage industry. But this is not going to be a video about the arguments for and against gay marriage, but rather how unbelievably biased some of the mainstream media have been in supporting the yes vote. It's been quite clear that the intolerant left does not want to debate on same-sex marriage. Amongst other examples, they threatened a hotel and its employees with violence because a Christian group planned to meet there and discuss their strategy for their opposition campaign. They also boycotted Coopers because they had the audacity to sponsor a civil discussion between two Liberal MPs, one gay, one straight, about same-sex marriage. And of course, like a cheap deck of cards, the Coopers owners caved in to the demands of the screeching activists.
We are deeply sorry. We've consequently cancelled the release of our Bible Society commemorative cans and will be taking steps to show further support for our community, including joining Marriage Equality Australia.
And so to the latest farce. Last Monday, some guy named Dan Leach McGill, who has about 118 followers, tweeted out this image with the caption, "Spotted in Melbourne, Heffernan Lane. How is this for a unity movement?" And then a couple of days later, he tweeted out that it had been removed, but by then it had already been picked up by the mainstream media and whipped up into a hysteria. Here's Andrew Bolt.
So that tweet from Dan Leach McGill, it went viral last Monday. And not just on social media. The ABC, Fairfax, Huffington Post, Junkie, news.com.au all went crazy. And most claimed that these posters were all over Melbourne. The Australian Women's Weekly, for instance, claimed that Melbourne streets were plastered with disgustingly homophobic posters ahead of the plebiscite. And Sydney's 2Day FM attacked Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull for allegedly inspiring all this bigotry with his public vote.
Your respectful debate, with all due respect, is in the toilet. This plebiscite that you're allowing has emboldened people who are anti-homosexual to come forward in the light and say some pretty awful things.
But here's the thing. No one has produced any evidence of posters plural. No evidence of any other poster than the one allegedly found in Heffernan Lane. Melbourne City Council actually checked after the complaints, said it knew of no others. And social media, which has been screaming about this, has posted no pictures of any other posters in Melbourne either. And that's odd, don't you think? I mean, why would campaigners against same-sex marriage go to the trouble of putting up only one of these posters and then only in an obscure lane in Chinatown? And then we have to ask, has anyone at all seen even that original poster? Melbourne Council sent a worker to Heffernan Lane last Monday. Found nothing. Then Leach McGill, who'd first tweeted the picture of that poster, conceded he'd actually been sent the photo by a friend. He'd never seen it himself.
So according to the media, or at least some of it, these posters were plastered all over Melbourne, and yet there was no evidence except for the one picture of a poster in an obscure lane in Chinatown. And the guy that tweeted it didn't take the photo himself. It was sent to him. So as Bolt said, why only one poster? And why put it in a place where so few people could actually see it? Can we even be sure that the original poster existed? Well, there's an easy way to find out. Go down to Heffernan Lane and see if you can match the background of the picture to an actual spot in Heffernan Lane. Now, there's not much to go on from the original picture that was tweeted out by McGill, but there is more to see from the photo after it was ripped off the wall. And you can see it's the same poster by the text in the bottom right corner. Well, since I'm more than 1,000 kilometres away from Melbourne, I thought I'd give it a shot on Google Maps. Now, here is Heffernan Lane, and if we go down the lane about 5 metres or so, we can see some windows that have a similar coloured frame to the ones in the picture, but that's not really good enough to make a positive ID. But note in the photo there is a reflection of what appears to be a yellow sign, and if we swing the camera around, voila, we have that same yellow crossing sign. So I think we can conclusively say that this poster was in fact displayed in Heffernan Lane. But by who? Again, as Bolt said, why would you post just one poster and in an obscure lane where hardly anyone would see it? Could it have been an activist trying to stir the pot? Well, Channel 10 didn't even bother to even ask that question. Here's what they did instead.
You see, Channel 10 News tried to film one of them for its bulletin that Monday and has since admitted to me it couldn't find a single one, not in Heffernan Lane, not anywhere. Now, that should have warned Channel 10 that there actually weren't any posters to see. Instead, the station faked its own. It faked the evidence. Or as Channel 10 News guru Peter Meakin put it, we were forced to source a copy online. Channel 10 found a stock image from Getty's online library of a bus shelter, apparently one in America, and superimposed upon it an online image of the poster, which was actually made, again online, in America too, back in March, made by a very unpleasant fascist group. And then here's how the image was run in Channel 10's news that night.
The latest posters found in Melbourne attacking the safety and health of children raised by gay parents.
Yep, that's right. 10 News couldn't find an actual poster, so they got one from the internet, superimposed it onto a bus stop image from the US, and ran with it. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what you call fake news. Now, 10 has since admitted they doctored the image, and here is the pathetic excuse they gave. The poster in question had been taken down when our film crew visited the laneway in question, so we were forced to source a copy online. Unfortunately, an oversight in briefing our graphics department interstate may have created a false impression about its size and location. This was not a deliberate attempt to mislead our audience, but a creative error, which we regret. Yeah, and if you believe that, I have a bridge to sell you. Now, it should be noted that there was another instance of homophobic posters reported yesterday. A white supremacist group has claimed credit for posting homophobic posters across Melbourne, including at the headquarters of the Victorian Labor Party, as the City Council confirmed it was forced to remove several offensive images at the weekend. Posters linking gay marriage with paedophilia were spotted at Birrarung Ma next to Federation Square on Sunday and were subsequently removed by City of Melbourne officers. Now, this time round, it seems that the ALP office at least has the sense to check the video footage for confirmation, unlike the mainstream media. ALP staff will examine camera footage from outside its Docklands office to ascertain the veracity of images shared on social media by activist group Antipodean Resistance, which suggest homophobic posters were displayed on its front window. The group, which uses a SWAT sticker as its logo and was reportedly responsible for disseminating racist flyers directed at Chinese university students last month, has claimed to have put up more than 100 posters in the city, typically placing them over posters endorsing same-sex marriage. The posters, which also contain the message "Stop the Fags," contain a link to its website. And here is a photo of those fascist scumbags who call themselves Antipodean resistance, bravely showing their faces, of course. ALP Assistant Secretary Cosmos Samaras said he had not seen the posters, but it was possible they'd been removed before staff arrived yesterday. Mr. Samaras said he would check whether CCTV cameras overlooking that spot had recorded the culprits. And that's probably a good idea. And since that story emerged, I haven't been able to verify what the CCTV cameras turned up, but I will follow up if something emerges. And so it would appear that there's no need to fake a story about homophobic posters, because we do have some self-described fascists actually doing it. And remember, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, or consider supporting the channel via Patreon, PayPal, or Minds. I'll see you next time.